and it's sad because he didn't know how to communicate with people. He would allow people to talk for him.
Yes. Well, you know, part of that, it's fine when you have a full-time, you know, when you have a speech therapist and a full-time personal technical aid, and, you know, and you're in school. But, you know, it gets really sad when you think how much effort everyone has put in, and how little real empowerment has been given to Jay. This is, thank you. Thank you, Hayden. I find this thing from don't you find that passage from ACOLUG illustrates what goes on in typical settings all over the place? Tremendous amount of energy, goodwill, intelligence, and the results are not coming through. And I find things in Phoenix here and in Arizona in general to be, well, somewhat different.
I'll be really fast, but I think that if we tell people that it's like what we're doing is ripping out the larynx while you're programming the pages, which is what usually happens, we take the child's device and then program these temporary pages that are just sort of sitting in space. I just think that really helps people to kind of get it when we talk about the negative impact of what's happening while you're programming.
Well, you know, actually, I have found that doesn't do it because the kids don't really use the device, so no one around them perceives that it's their larynx.
Yeah.
But people were telling me constantly a few years ago that everything was weight. Everything is weight. And I said, no, it's not. They said, we did the survey at the Rehabilitation Institute, and everything was weight. And I said, no, it isn't. It's the fact that nobody uses these to communicate at the Rehabilitation Institute. If they use them to communicate, parents would be willing to haul around a Mack truck.
Yeah, I think your point of who's going to do it after the child graduates is probably better taken. Who's going to continue to create pages for this person for the rest of their life? And when you first introduce it to a mom and say, you realize that if we choose a system where you have to be adding vocabulary for each activity that you want them to be successful in, that you're taking on the responsibility of adding vocabulary for the rest of this person's life, however long that may be, it makes a difference.
Okay, well, I would think that would be a very persuasive argument, because I believe one of the parents, I don't know whether we have any parents of people with disabilities here, one of the parents' greatest anxieties is how is my child going to fare after I'm after I'm no longer able to do this or gone or any number of other things. I know my own mother didn't think I was negotiable in the world. No, no, that's not the case, really. But you know, this is really a very, very serious thing. And okay, well, we've spent some time on that, and I would like to go on to the next here to show something that Wayne Wilson did. Wayne is director of the Health Authority in East Essex in England. It's in Colchester and that area. It's on the coast, and this could be commented on that in AAC. You know, a lot of the data we derive in articles seems to come from examinations of learning from the first 2 months, and to measure the amount of learning needed. And a multi-page, multi-folder system seems to look great in that period. Do you see what's happening here? But that the time keeps getting more and more and more until, you know, okay. And whereas with a single overlay system, you know, automatically, you know, you're starting to ratchet up right at the beginning, but it levels out. And in fact, okay. Now, an unfortunate pattern exists in clinical experience that is partially explained by the Wilson AAC learning curve. The pattern is a cycle which begins in optimism and ends in the abandonment of original goals. A voice output communication aid is implemented with an early communicator considered to have great potential for independent communication. 12 to 18 months later, the communication status of the early communicator has been only marginally enhanced. He or she uses the device for preschool and classroom responses. The intervention has been deemed successful, but independent communication is no longer a goal. The problem is thought to lie in the depth of the early communicator's disability. Now, the following graphic is my proudest moment in PowerPoint skill. Yes. And I'd like two bold readers. Gwen, you can be a bold reader. You're bold. And could you be a bold reader? Okay, you do the first one. And here is the navigation maze. I got this idea not in the maze form, but Gail Van Tatenhove today said, or one day said to me, she said, well, I saw it again. Child was real bright on the device, then got 1 million pages and couldn't really talk, and people said the child may be cognitively impaired. And she said it's a horrible thing that has happened. And she said it's the vicious cycle you always get of self-fulfilling negative prophecies. And we talked about it. And here is Gail's vicious cycle, somewhat mellowed and generalized and approved by her and done by her. Okay.
You want me to read that in the back of the room?
Can you see
I
it?
can't read that far enough.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's.
I can't.
The student
Not-
indicates a
okay.
wide range of emotions and preferences in response to teachers and families through gestures and facial expressions, but rarely communicates beyond this circle.
We know that student, right?
The student's good pragmatics leads the staff to believe she could use a speech-generating device to communicate more independently and with a broader range of people.
Initial trial on a multi-page system encourages expectations for independent communication.
After a short time, the vocabulary becomes too limiting.
More vocabulary pages are added with great care.
Searching for words across multiple pages is hard and confusing to the student. Her staff decides to do more whole utterance programming.
The student is unable to navigate independently to and back from environment and activity pages to find needed vocabulary.
To avoid navigation, more specialized pages, defeating the development of motor planning.
New pages, designed and implemented daily, require the
This strikes me as being more truth than poetry, and very frequently occurs. Now, if I were a fundamentalist preacher, and those of you who live in the South know what bigger fundamentalist preachers can have, this would be the phase I would call getting you damned. Because you've got to get them damned before you get them saved. And it would be a poor if I didn't make some effort at salvation here. And so let me give you the altar call, in a sense, of the single-page path to independent communication. Let's get a couple of close readers. You want to read? And Susan, you've already read. You read.
student has good pragmatics, leading the staff to believe she can use a speech generating device.
Okay, for those of you who are not in language SLPs, for others, pragmatics refers to that branch of linguistics which studies interaction and things like turn-taking and what kinds of sentences, what function does the sentence perform? Is it a request? Is it a protest? Is it, you know, and that's called functional analysis. Okay, the student has good, that's called pragmatics. And Joan Bruno took data at the Temple Summer Institute for 2 years. And it was for studying word strategy, which is very much like the Unity program we've been working with today. And what do you think was the best predictor of success? Grammatical knowledge, reading knowledge, IQ. Well, those were the three that I can remember, general overall IQ. What do you think was, or pragmatics? What do you think was the best predictor of success? It was pragmatics. Guys who looked you in the eye and took turns interacting, learned the system. Almost all of them did. Right, but other guys who could read well, you know, these would be guys who couldn't read and didn't have any grammatical skills. But pragmatics was the predictor that Joan found for those 2 years. There were about 20 people took those tests, and we had pre and post tests and things like that. And by the way, each year a student got a prize for being the one who would make the most progress, and the prize was dinner with me, and which was kind of interesting because it was done in a quality court motel, you know. Okay. All right. The student has good pragmatics, leading the staff to believe she could use a speech-generating device.
Initial trial on single-page system successful. Staff is challenged by the complex appearance of the system.
Ever seen that happen? And you see, that's we're going downhill from here.
Staff teaches pronouns and basic verbs.
Yeah, the staff have been persuaded to teach pronouns and basic verbs at least.
Student begins to use the core vocabulary. Staff adds specialized vocabulary.
Notice I put that as a down. That almost always happens.
Student continues to use core vocabulary as MOU grows.
What's mean length of utterance? Okay.
Growth slows as student is satisfied with basic communication.
This almost always happens.
Staff broadens students' environment.
That's what should happen.
Staff continues to challenge students with a broadened core vocabulary.
Again, this is a should happen.
Language skills assist in literacy.
Okay, that's salvation, sort of, and that's what it can be, and it can be for a pretty wide range of people. We're now getting a lot of data about students with cognitive impairments and how they're doing. I don't have a lot of videotapes with me, but we're getting some pretty good videotapes too. But if there's a place here that you can write to for data on language performance for people with cognitive impairments, and it's www.AAC Institute, INSTITUTE.org.
And we're thinking many of you should already know that, because that's where you went to get AAC keys.
Yeah. That's where you want to get what?
To download AAC keys in order to have your students do writing.
Oh, yeah.
Just go to printroom.com and hit the link.
Okay.
Yeah, really.
Okay, and the person you might want to write to there is Katya Hill. And she'll interact with you. But they're getting a lot of data and tremendous amount of information about use of the system by people with cognitive impairments. And it's not spectacular, but it's pretty sound stuff. I mean, what the students are doing with cognitive impairments is pretty sound stuff. Richard Creech, who's an augmented communicator with a master's degree in speech pathology, doesn't have his C's. But Richard Creech said that the goal of AAC was to be able to say whatever you want to whomever you want in a timely way. Multi-page, multi-folder systems seem like an easy first step toward that goal, but they almost always invite more pages and more folders. As these systems grow to reflect language needs, they grow disproportionately complex, interrupt motor planning, and frustrate the goal of independent communication. The single-page systems appear more complex at first, but do not require reading, and through their stability are learnable physically and cognitively, because they grow simpler through use. And finally, single-page systems provide independent communication to a wide range of users at many cognitive levels. Now, the last part of what we're going to do, many people say that scanners need single-page systems, and I'm just going to say that scanning on a single-page system means dependent communication forever, because you know you've got to navigate down, and navigation for a scanner is very hard. It requires a teacher or someone there to get you to your page, and it requires then a page to be made for each occasion. And I want to talk a little bit, would any of you like to see the problems of a 20-location scanning system? Would that be of interest to you? Sure. Well, I picked a good one. We've got a good one here. Okay. This is a study of saying no spinach on a scanning system. I picked Gateway 20 because Gateway has the richest vocabulary of any scanning of any of the multi-folder, multi-page systems out there. And where is spinach? Okay. This is what we've done is we've scanned through here, and what we wound up with was getting vegetable rather than spinach. See, this is 20 locations. Now this looks simple, doesn't it? It's well laid out, has lots of good things. Now let's see. Okay. Well, we're going. Okay, I'm going to put you in right in this place. We're going to look for spinach. Where do you think?
Vegetable.
Do you know the difference between a folder and a page?
Yeah.
Folder and an item. These are folders, these are items. Where is spinach? Well, let's take a look at the folders. It could be in activities, you think? Well, actually,
I believe I just do vegetable green.
it's not in foods. We couldn't get it in
No.
foods.
No, I'm saying say vegetable and then go to color and say green, because it sounds like it's going to be really annoying to try to find spinach. Seriously annoying.
Okay, so there's some problems here, and it's not going to be in family, not going to be in people, not going to be in actions, not going to be in little words. Maybe places. Is it a word that tells? What is that about? It's not in foods. Maybe it's a thing, but it in fact is an activity. Now, what has happened here? Why in the world would a sophisticated clinician put spinach under activities? It's because to get you down to just 20 keys, you've got to collapse so many of your categories. I mean, there's no other way around this.
But that's true. I mean, are you guys like thinking about, do you have a 20 location in the fly? Because it is something that, you know, some of our kids with significant visual cognitive.
Well,
I mean, it's just hard.
it makes it very cognitively
Oh, it is.
difficult.
It's such a huge.
And I think this is often given to kids who are having cognitive problems.
Right.
And I just want to show you how cognitively difficult this makes it. And I also don't want to criticize Gateway, because Gateway is a very elaborately, it's not schmatters, you know, this is very well done. And so, strangely enough, it's in activities. Now, where in activities do you think it might be?
Mealtime, okay.
Foods there.
Oh, another food?
More food?
Food. Oh, we're back where we were. Oh, endless loop.
So had they planted spinach?
It's in guys in a grocery store.
Yes, not. No shopping, no grocery shopping for you.
Would a non-reader be able to navigate this independently? You'd have to know words that tell or adjectives. I mean, you'd have to know a lot to. Okay. Back. It's on the farm.
On the farm?
Because if you're only going to use 20 keys, it can only be in one of those places.
Right, right,
I mean, because if you put it in several places, you're not going to have any vocabulary at all.
right.
So there, it's going to be in the farm.
So you would really have to like spinach.
Yeah, or not want spinach, I believe in this case.
Yes, it was called spinach.
Why couldn't that vegetable just have been
What?
on the food page? They've already made a vegetable pop-up, I just made them click it.
On that first food pop-up, it said the word vegetables.
Well, because you only have, no, here it is.
Yeah, you could have linked that from that first
You
word
could
that
have
said
the same
vegetables.
pop-up.
Which one?
When you're in food, off the master page, when you go into food,
But if
they
Right.
could have just made vegetables a linking folder, and then just made that pop-up come up.
Yeah, instead of saying the word vegetable.
Okay, but suppose, you know, in food, suppose you wanted to say vegetable. You see, this is meant, you know, you're just saying sandwich, vegetable, cookie. You're not naming a bunch of different kinds, you know, of vegetables. You're just naming vegetable here. You're not naming all the different fruits here. You see, you could make this a pop-up and this a pop-up. And then the, you know, drinks,
And the meats will pop up. and
then, then you'd have this page filled with pop-ups, and then you'd be way down in pop-up village. And then you'd have to close the pop-ups back. I mean, I understand Joan's decisions on here. You know, this is the very rudimentary thing, and so, now, here's something that I want to point out. Are these categories natural or necessary? No, they're not, because we've shrunk all of life down into 20 icons. So the categorization structures are no longer natural. They can't be. I've heard people say, well, you know, you pick the first one and it naturally leads you to the second one and it naturally leads you. It does not. At the third one, you can sometimes hypothesize where you came back, or you can see how you got back, but you can't project forward. These categories are not natural, they can't be, and I don't think they're a necessary category. You know what I mean by a necessary category? I mean, you know, like live or dead, you know what I mean? Like, okay. Do these categories need to be taught and remembered by users? Yeah, they do. And so what I'm suggesting The thrust of that was not so much, was sometimes we put users on, users a scanner with vision problems, so you put the guy on.
What is the icon sequence for spinach?
What?
What is the icon sequence for spinach?
Oh, the icon sequence for spinach is apple and
Flowers.
flowers, and then it's the elephant or strong.
Or apple.
Where is it? Here. Let's turn it on. It's ready? Okay, hit apple, flowers, now hit elephants.
Elephants.
Okay, got it, Popeye, Popeye. Apple, remember, apple and the saguaro cactus, apple and saguaro cactus was Mexican food.
Mexican food.
Apple and these flowers, these blooms and blossoms, like squash blossoms, that's for vegetables. And here are the vegetables. What do you think ear is? Ear.
Corn.
Oh, an ear of corn.
Cauliflower is the flower.
Cauliflower.
And the spinach. Okay, are we seeing what's...
Wow.
Now, let me show you something else that you can do on the Pathfinder. I'm going to do magic here. Okay, now we're going to have the activity row. See the activity row? This is a floating row of pictures. And when I hit apple, look what it does. It gives us all the different food categories. And here's veggies. And I hit veggies. And now here it's giving us the different food categories. And then I hit
Vegetable.
Geez, what did I do?
First one, so you got a vegetable.
Okay.
Word vegetable.
See, it always comes up. No. Okay, I'm hitting apple, and it gives you, all of these categories. I could hit vegetable, and then I could hit more, and here is spinach.
Spinach.
Did you see what I did there? Apple, veggie, spinach. Now something that is even, I think, more fun is apple and the flowers here for vegetable. And now we're already here. And we're already at the vegetable choices.
Spinach.
We're already at the vegetable choices.
And on the Vanguard, it's even easier because you just, the window pops up with all the activity row with all the category choices.
If we could get people to fill in these cards that have your addresses on, I just remembered that we have more than one PRC Icon CD upstairs in our drawer, and I could do a drawing for a PRC Icon CD. We want to make sure that everybody has filled out one of these cards.
Bribe them, bribe them.
And you can create visuals and...
Are you recollecting?
Yeah, and you'll want to pass these down.
And also my stuff.
Right to the Axelrod.
Oh, where was it? Southwestern.
Guys, if you want to write.
Thank you. Thanks.
Search engine, and you want the institute
There's a link on the Frankie Remick website, Bruce.
Is there?
Yes, for ACOLUG.
Oh.
So if you go to
You want
the very
the-
bottom of the web page to links, you can find all of those links on prcprintrom.com.
Okay. I have them all set up in links, but every time someone asks me how to get the temple on, it's the Institute on Disabilities .temple .slash.
Right, Ron, go to that. Oops.
I usually at the last part of this thing talk about how you sort of start teaching vocabulary.
Okay. I sure can. How to begin. Teaching language. This is the 25 of the Banaji words. And we have expanded them out to a degree. Whereas Banaji just found I, my, and mine, we went on to me, we, us, ours, you, yours, you. So the words in yellow are the 25, are the 25 and the 26 Banaji words. Then we expanded these out to their morphological, the quantifier some, then we put somebody, something, sometime, somewhere. Want, wants, want. And I'm going to recommend that you teach these and what's necessary to do these. Then this is the core toddler words further expanded and categorized for TV. Now, you have the Banaji core words, you don't have this. Focus on architecture. I'd show the architecture for the pronouns. Remember how we showed that? And use pronouns and their architecture in discourse-based teaching activities. Now, what do I mean by discourse-based teaching activities? I don't know. Ask Caroline. I got that from something she wrote years ago. I said, that's a great phrase. Discourse-based. I put it down in yellow crayon, and I think you should then look at the helping verbs like we did, like, what is and are. Then I think you need to look at have and to do and the pronoun phrases. And use to be and to have in their pronouns phrase architecture in discourse-based teaching activities. Lexical verbs, those are different from the helping verbs. Lexical verbs would want, go, help. Those are verbs sometimes called content verb. I would also teach the demonstratives, this, that, these, and those. They're delightful. And Gail has a songbook based on these words. You can get it from gailvantatenhove.com. Let me show you what we can do with this and that and these and those. When do kids start using this and that and these and those? They're very early. Okay, now, I think I can clunkily get around here. Okay, you see the overlay here. By the way, vegetable is apple. Remember when, you know, we were doing, is apple and the Hawaiian way.
Cauliflower.
Okay. Okay, now, you see this wizard here? You see he's a wizard guy? Yeah, well, he's pointing with a magic wand, and he points things out. This, that, these, those, they're demonstratives. Okay, so we're going to select wizard. Would you select wizard? And then down here you see the finger pointing directly at something. Yeah, hit that one.
This.
That's this. Okay, then Mr. Wizard and the exit sign pointing, the yellow exit sign at number 6.
That.
This, that. Now, English has two demonstratives in the singular, two singular demonstratives. One is the near one, which is this, and that, which is the far one. So the near one we use the hand, that we use the arrow. Now, it also has a singular and plural demonstrative, these and those for up close and far away. And so, see the dice, we looked for something that was both plural and very close. You see the dice just,
Yeah.
okay, well hit Mr. Wizard and the dice.
I got all these, I thought I got clear display, but I got all these lights popped up.
Okay.
This.
No, we're okay now. Mr. Wizard?
And then
These.
Okay. Now, do we see anything that's plural and in the distance? The mountains.
oh no.
My golly, look at the mountains. There are 2 of them.
This.
No,
I know, but this,
it's at right under 5.
Those.
Yeah, this, that, these, those. Do you see them there? What's your name?
Eva.
Eva. Eva, could you do those again for us? Mr., you know, the wizard and the finger at R.
This.
Wizard and the exit sign.
That.
Wizard and the dice.
These.
Wizard and the mountain. Those.
Those.
Okay, this, that, these, and those. Now, here's Gail's song. It's done to the tune of London Bridge, and she does all of them. They're the pronouns, they're the verbs. They're wonderful songs, and this one is done to London Bridge, and here it goes. This and that, and these and those, these and those, these and those, this and that, and these and those. Now I can point at what I want. And it goes on for a couple of verses. Give me this or give me that, give me this, give me that, give me this or give me that. Now I can ask for what I want. And you know, it goes on in this vein, and then the Frere Jacques. Well, there's so many of these. I think it's the do re mi thing for the pronouns. I mean, I don't. I almost always bring those with me when I'm going to be talking about unity. But there are song things for every one of these paradigms. For the pronouns, for the demonstratives, for the prepositions, for a bunch of simple verbs, for the adjectives, and you can sing them, and they can be a lot of fun.
And even older kids like them more than you would expect. I mean,
Well,
they really do.
This older kid loves them. I mean, I get a kick when I even, you know, I'm singing along with these. The older kids like them too.
Well, think about how our older kids didn't really get to sing when they were young. They just kind of got to pretend. They got to hit one button and it sang a whole.
Yes.
But they didn't
yeah.
really get to produce, words that were kind of like a song. I was amazed that I kind of was a little worried about doing it with some of my older students, and they liked it way more than I would have thought.
Wow, that's beautiful. Gail has a song for almost all these paradigms, and let's see if I can get us back to. All of these expanded words that you're going to find her paradigms for. And then the lexical verbs. These are some good ones. And they're based upon the lexical verbs that were used in Banaji. And now the demonstratives, show the architecture for the demonstratives, sing along with the demonstratives, use demonstratives in their architecture in discourse-based teaching activities. Hint, use demonstratives for objects with lexical verbs. Get this, help those. Finish that, want these. And here are a bunch of nouns that are good for discourse-based teaching. Toys, you see it's open, the treasure chest. Clothes, it's suit. Vehicles is truck. And written stuff is book. And then, book son is a comic, book apple is a menu, book TV is the TV guide.
Where's open?
What? Open is the treasure chest.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, you have the device there, don't you? Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, the verb. Oh, God, I can't.
No. Okay, no, we're not looking for foot, are we? We're looking for... What?
They just push the trailer check.
Yes.
Open.
Treasure chest twice.
Push it twice.
I thought you said elephant.
And then?
Then is or are?
No, it's Mr. Verb.
Mr. Verb?
Is and are just there as shortcuts.
S.
See, Mr. Action Man? The green guy?
S. Key.
Now.
Sass.
Hayden's telling us, why do you want foot?
I thought we were trying to find the open and he said with the treasure hut. What did he say?
Open is the treasure, but not the we're trying to learn toys. You see?
It's.
But I can't find open.
Open is
Chest.
the treasure chest.
She wants to find the word ball.
Oh.
Total chest.
You just have to hit the toy chest. She doesn't want to find the word open. She wants to find the icon open.
Okay, yeah, I know
Under
that.
O.
Okay,
Under O.
clear display.
I got it.
Okay, now,
Okay,
hit the treasure chest.
I got it.
Now, look in your input tray.
Yeah.
And see what they call that icon. They call that icon open, don't they?
It's 3 hits.
Oh, I can't see.
Hayden said it's 3 hits.
No, it was the angle. There's you see that's open.
Okay.
And you hit it twice.
Total chest.
Wait a minute. Open. Open. And now all of these are toys.
Oh, okay, got it.
Posted.
Oh,
Knife. Jack in the box.
Jack in the Box, thumbs up. Okay. Okay, open's the name of the icon.
got it. Okay, got it.
Okay. The book with Shakespeare on it is for written stuff. Hit Shakespeare twice.
Oh, here, okay.
Where's Shakespeare?
And now hit the television down in the bottom bar.
TV guide.
Oh, to
So,
read the two.
why am I recommending these words? I'm recommending these words because they're simple and all of them are introduced by a double hit. And so you don't have to get two distant hits, you just go bang bang and then a double hit, then all your categories light up. And these are special nouns for discourse-based teaching. Why do we have the dog for newspaper? Well, because the dog, those dogs, they bring you your newspaper. I have never known a dog to
Mine
bring
will
a
do it
newspaper.
every morning.
Your
She
dog?
doesn't get fed. I have a black lab. She's been doing it for 7 years. Every morning. She brings the paper.
Wow.
That's marvelous. Does she read it?
No.
Does she chew the paper?
Nope.
How did you train her to do it? Did she just do it natural?
No, we trained her to bring other things for her.
With
She's a
treats.
retriever, so that's
Treats.
just ingrained. And we give her, she doesn't get breakfast until she brings the paper in.
I see you have a very disciplined household.
Everything's on schedule in your house.
Okay, these are special nouns for discourse-based teaching. And demonstrative discourse-based teaching. Here are core verbs for discourse-based teaching. And I got this from Caroline Musselwhite, and it's originally from Kay Goodman.
Yeah, Ken. He's in another Arizona.
Okay, critical criteria for developing discourse-based teaching strategy. It's easy when it's real and natural. It's hard when it's artificial. Real and natural is when you take the kid's pocketbook and you say mine. And the kid says, no, mine. And discourse-based teaching strategies place the student in the role. These discourse-based things I'm no authority on. Caroline has written on this kind of stuff extensively. Other people have talked about discourse-based teaching. What I'm referring to is you've got to make it real. And these little interactions, like, how would we do this and that? How would you make this and that real? Well, you could get a puppet. And the puppet could have a magic wand. And you could, you can do this with cups, you can do this with anything. And you would say, this, those, that. You see, all you need to do is get yourself, then you would want this one, this, these, that, those. And your puppet's doing it. And this is fun. I mean, I don't do this myself. I don't have any experience in this, but I've seen people do this. And Russell Cross is a great puppeteer. He has all these different puppets, and these puppets are always picking things up, and they're teaching for vocabulary. And the kids are deeply involved. I mean, it's right there in front of them. And sometimes this is your pen. This, that. Hers, that's one, but this is what I mean by discourse-based teaching. In other words, it's real life stuff. It's discourse-based stuff in that you're actually talking to the student and you're reaching over and you're saying,
this, one, no, that, one, yes, and if, mine.
okay, now take a look at something like brown bear, brown bear. Now, the magic in brown, or magic in brown bear is, most people think the magic in brown bear is red bird and blue horse and teach the colors. For me, the magic is that beautiful repeated phrase that has all that syntax in it. What do you see? You see, you get the question word, and then you get the inverted, what do you see? I see a, whatever, looking, see the ing, looking at me. What do you see looking at me? What do you see looking at me? If you can get the kid to do the what do you see looking at me, independent, I don't mean pre-stored, but what do you see?
And the hard part is convincing the educators that it's worthwhile to take the time to let them compose messages word by word. That it's going to be slower than if you push the button that says, what do you see is one button.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Right.
You know, I don't think most, you know, teaching a language at this level is not something we think about very often, but this is where you need to start, I think. And Caroline.
Interviews are just so incredibly huge. So like if you want kids to do past tense instead of saying, okay, say go, good job, now make it, you know, like why would anybody want to do that? But if it's, I'm here interviewing Eric, who has just invented an incredible robot. Tell our radio audience, we can't just point, and then what your robot is going to do. It will jump, it will dance, it will walk, it will play. It's doing it right now, ladies and gentlemen. Then it is jumping, it is dancing, it is walking, all the things he just said. He has to go back and think about how, and then it's like, oh my goodness, I think some people may have just tuned in. Tell our radio audience all the things your robot did. It jumped, it danced, it drove, it, you know. So that would just be a good example of how to make.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's,
the three tenses.
That's intense discourse-based teaching.
Right.
Particularly if you have a robot and it does those things.
Right.
But
But you know what, even just with a fake microphone, it's just.
I have a Freud action figure. I purchased it in Berkeley.
Oh,
on
that's
Telegraph
wonderful.
Avenue. Not many people have Freud action figures.
I'm so surprised at that.
Okay, Caroline was describing what you can do with an interview, and there are myriad things that you can do. Okay, here, this last page is worthwhile, I think. Children with little functional speech do not have the reinforcing experiences important in acquisition. Adults typically help children develop better language through emphasizing new nouns. However, children with significant speech disabilities need interactive experience with earlier acquisition issues, basic morphology, semantic roles, that means agent, action, object, and word order. Voice output augmentative communication devices can be set up and used to support early language development. This is, do not assume the non-speaking child has no language. I think it's a very inaccurate assumption because all of that biology is there clicking away. And if the kid even attends to you in the slightest, he's parsing what you say. Watch this. If one looks at the acoustic energy profile of the input signal, the region of lowest energy, the moments closest to silence, do not line up well with word boundaries. The segmentation of speech sounds is a process that imposes boundaries based on the grammatical structure of the language, not on the physical structure of the acoustic wave. You've seen these oscilloscope things where the sound gets loud and then goes down, loud and down. You know, the part where it nearly disappears is not the same as the word boundary. There are other parts there, and what actually happens is there are spaces between certain consonants that create that within a word. And so if they don't line up, so if anybody's understanding you at all, they're applying some kind of grammatical model, some kind of acquired language model to what you're saying. Now, about deaf students, I have no idea, but if a student is attending to you at all in your words, they're okay.
I'm beating the times up.
Okay, the time's
Would you like to take the winner for our drawing? The winner of our drawing is Jennifer Richardson.
Hey. Now, I have another drawing.
Oh.
Oh, my name's not in, no fair.
Hey, Hayden, if you win, give it here, okay?
This is unfortunately something I was going to do, and it is Gail Van Taten, it's on her website, it's Gail Van Taten's manual board. When you're teaching someone, the manual board becomes the manual. And we were going to do a drawing with this, but we didn't get to go over this. You see, it's a manual board, and it would take 10 minutes, and it's 5 o'clock.
If you don't know what it is, give it to me.
What? If you want to, yes.
Or Deanna.
Or Deanna. And it's in the book that Deanna and Caroline just completed.
And Jane.
James, author on the notebook. Okay, so we're going to do pull another name for that one?
Should we give away an out and about CD?
Oh, you're picking people to give these to?
No, I can only give one.
So you're giving it.
More challenge.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Deanna.
And we have to give away an out and about CD? Sure. We got, you want to draw names for that one?
Sure. Oh, my name's on here.
I know. My name's already been out. But I was thinking for the Gill thing. We have it, we just don't have it laminated next.
Ta-da! And it's Kathy Reeves. Kathy, your president. Oh, Kathy Reeves.
Yay!
That was the table.
Three
Three
This table had a number, you should apply the number. You guys have a state lottery here?
Yeah.
Oh, you're very welcome.
This is yours, Charger.